here at 4, court documents revealing what led up to a shooting that sent a barrage of bullets flying into Dunbar High School in Northwest D.C. while kids were still in class. So glad you're with us here on WSA 9 News at 4. I'm Adam Longo.
And I'm Simone D'Alba. One of those bullets grazed a teenage girl in the head while she was in class. And you may remember we first brought you this story as breaking news on Friday.
And since then, D.C. police have arrested 2 teenage suspects. Matt Gregory, live near Dunbar High School. Matt, what else did we learn from court today?
Yeah, I mean, what we found in court is just the importance of video in solving this, or at least bringing these 2 suspects into custody. But I want to show you, because even right now on Kirby Street, just down the street from Dunbar High School, you can still see on this SUV bullet holes, bullet grazings on the side of this car here, and there's broken glass along the street. Remnants of what we saw on Friday, but court documents today gave us more of an idea of what happened along this street that led to bullets flying into Dunbar High School just down the street. So let's take you to what court documents have been able to tell us about this particular incident. Now, here's what the investigations revealed so far. Dunbar students sat down to first period, but some lingered outside near an alley on Kirby Street, where I am right now. That leads to the school. Witnesses told police a vehicle headed south on Kirby, and it ran into a group of roughly 15 other people who've been in the alley. Some of these people in this group were told by police were students at the school that should have been in class. Now, the 2 groups exchanged gunfire with at least 6 bullets flying into the school. One, like Adam was saying, flew through a window and grazed a 17-year-old female student. That girl told police that she was standing in the middle of a classroom looking at her phone when she felt a pain to her head and saw blood coming down her face. The bullet grazed her, but it was deep enough that it revealed part of her skull, doctors said. Police went through witnesses and video like we were showing you and tracked down 2 people seen fleeing the scene with guns, and they identified them as Dunbar seniors Asahari Graves and Saki Frost. Now, police arrested both Friday night, and both are being held while they await their next court date. But since both were students that should have been in class at the time, today in a press conference, D.C. Schools Chancellor Louis Farabee said they have zeroed in today more on students skipping school.
We had some collaboration with the Metropolitan Police Department. We're able to pull some students in via the truancy officers, and we're focusing on some areas that we know can be problematic in terms of young people gathering before school.
Now, as far as the victim, we've been told that she is a student athlete here at the school. She's expected to make a full physical recovery, but obviously the toll of what happened goes far beyond the grazing of her head. At the same time, coming up at 6, one of the things we did talk about was neighbors in this area concerned about students kind of lingering in this area, or at least young people lingering in the area. And Mayor Bowser in that same press conference today was asked about that. You know, what can you do about some of these things? Because neighbors had some concerns. She said she personally has a plan to deal with it. You'll want to hear what that is coming up in 1 hour here on WSA 9. But for now, in Northwest, outside Dunbar High, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you.
All right, Matt, thank you for that. We certainly hope that brings some peace of mind to the folks in that neighborhood and in the school. News of those arrests. We'll check back with you soon. Thank you.
What's good with y'all, Mo? Welcome back to Paperwork TV. Today I got a couple of recent stories for y'all, including the tragic shooting that happened in front of Dunbar High School uptown the other day. We're going to go over what happened that day. Also, we got the story on Moody, the youngin' from around 17th-N-Compton that was caught on camera letting the dog off at his ops on Independence Avenue. He was recently released on the box after a judge ruled that he does not pose a threat to the community. Lastly, we will be going over the Fill the Future Court affidavit for y'all. Please read along. Before we go any further, please make sure go and smash that like and subscribe button for me, Mo. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, I need y'all to go roll up the fattest Zajay that y'all can. If you got a bottle of Don Reposado, go crack that joint open for me. You hear me? Hop in this free car and let's take a ride uptown. Please remember to buckle up. The feds are jive hot around that joint right now because of this particular situation. Imagine a typical Friday morning at Dunbar High School where a star varsity athlete is engaged in conversation with a teacher. Without warning, a bullet came piercing through a classroom window, leaving the student with a deep graze wound on her forehead. This incident isn't just about a bullet wound. It's about the sense of security among students, teachers, and parents. The victim, expected to recover physically, now faces the hard task of overcoming the psychological scars left by this traumatic experience. The road to recovery is long and winding, often involving more than just physical healing. On the other side, Asahari Graves, an 18-year-old from Northeast D.C., stands accused alongside a 17-year-old classmate. Court documents reveal a chilling scene. Two groups of teens, one stationed near the school and another circling the block in an SUV. Surveillance footage captures Graves armed in an alley, moments before the chaos unfolds. The defense paints a different picture, arguing that Graves was armed for self-protection against an imminent threat posed by individuals in a stolen Chevy, circling and shooting. They stress that no footage actually shows Graves firing the weapon. This perspective invites a discussion on the fine line between self-defense and reckless endangerment. Witnesses describe a tense prelude to the shooting, hearing phrases like, "Get ready, they're coming around the other side," followed by the sound of gunfire. Their accounts add layers to our understanding of the incident, highlighting the tension and fear that preceded the violence. Law enforcement's response was swift, with DC police analyzing security footage leading to the arrest of the suspects. They face serious charges, including assault with a dangerous weapon and carrying a pistol without a license. Now, the question the streets keep asking is, why are these kids being charged with a crime? It seems as if they were only trying to protect themselves. Does it make it wrong because they are underage? Is it really that bad in the city that our kids need guns just to attend high school safely every day? I'm going to side with the streets on this one and say, free these youngins, Mo.
Brand new information about the release of a teenage suspect accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 rifle into a DC street. Incredibly, no one was hit in all of this. Court documents obtained by WUSA 9 reveal that the judge went against his own instincts to keep the teen in jail before trial after repeated pleas from the public defender. Our chief investigative reporter Eric Flack is back on the case for us tonight. Flack, we know that hundreds of thousands of people have seen this video posted on your X account, which allegedly shows the teen emptying that semi-automatic rifle into that neighborhood.
Larry, it's a stunning video. So many people on social media asking the same question. Why would the judge let someone charged with a crime like that out of jail before trial? Tonight, this 141-page transcript of that court hearing on May 3rd revealed even the judge initially thought it was a bad idea. We want to warn you, this story includes video and audio of gunshots, and it can be disturbing. 18-year-old Amante Moody is accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle at an SUV driving away on Independence Avenue in Southeast on April 22nd. He's now charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm with a crime of violence. In a hearing last Friday, Magistrate Court Judge Lloyd Nolan found probable cause for the case to go to trial and seemed likely to send Moody back to jail pre-trial. A prosecutor telling the judge, "I think we all know that we're lucky that this wasn't a homicide." Judge Nolan agreeing, saying, "The concern I have is that this action could have killed someone." The court transcripts show the suspect's public defender continually fights the idea of sending Moody back to jail, asking the judge to release Moody with only a GPS monitor, a curfew, and activities during the day, including finishing his high school diploma and job training arranged by his aunt. The public defender also told the judge Moody had a supportive family, many of whom were in court, willing to take him in and help monitor him while on pretrial release. But prosecutors pushed back, telling the judge all of these were available to him when he decided to unload 26 rounds out of an AR-15 in the middle of the street. And again, the judge seems to agree, saying, for something to escalate to the point where you feel you need to go into the middle of the street and let off 26 shots, I don't know what set of circumstances, short of incarceration, I can find. But 8 different times, Moody's defense attorney rejects the judge's arguments, saying Moody had no prior criminal history, had a developing brain, and that his personality changed after his grandfather died. The defense pleading with the judge that Moody had already been in jail for 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks of incarceration is not where he wanted to end up again. Eventually, Judge Nolan relents, releasing Moody on 24/7 home incarceration at his stepfather's house in Maryland with a GPS ankle monitor, warning, "The concern I have is for the safety of the community." And a lot of people also have that concern right now. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia has filed an emergency order to reverse the magistrate judge's decision to grant that teen shooting suspect pre-trial release. That hearing will happen next week, and Larry, we will be there.
Remarkable that nobody was hurt in all of this.
Truly.
Eric Flack, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Before I get into this next story, do y'all remember when we discussed the war going on around 17th-N-Compton? Remember the youngin' who was caught running down the alley with one shoe on letting that shit off at the Ops down Independence Avenue? His name is Amante Moody. Moody recently went to court for this shooting that was caught on a Ring camera and was surprisingly released on the box, due to a judge granting him this after he was deemed as being not a threat to the community. Here goes the story. In the early hours of April 22nd, a southeast D.C. neighborhood was violently disrupted. At around 2:20 a.m., residents of the 1700 block of Independence Avenue were awakened by the sound of gunfire. An 18-year-old, later identified as Amante Moody, was caught on a Ring doorbell camera. This footage was jive wild, I'm not going to hold you. Moody is seen hitting feet out of an alley, sprinting down a side street, and opening fire on a vehicle in a desperate escape. The video captures Moody carrying what looks to be a military-style assault rifle, discharging over 15 rounds in a matter of seconds. The rapid gunfire punctuated the night, leaving behind a trail of 26 shell casings scattered across the pavement. Responding to the chaos, Metropolitan Police Department officers arrived at the scene. Their search led them to a nearby home under an emergency warrant. Inside, hidden in the ceiling, they discovered a disassembled AR-15, the same weapon Moody used in his reckless shooting. The investigation further revealed that Moody had fired 26 times at a car occupied by 4 individuals. Miraculously, despite the barrage of bullets, there was no return fire, and no injuries were reported. Charges were swift and severe. Moody faced accusations of endangerment with a firearm, illegal possession of a weapon, and assault. Yet the subsequent legal decisions sparked controversy. On May 3rd, during a court hearing, a judge decided to release Moody from custody. Instead of jail, he was placed under house arrest and monitored by a GPS device, or how we like to say it, on the box. This decision understandably raised eyebrows and concerns in the community. Prosecutors were quick to challenge the ruling, filing an appeal. They argued the gravity of Moody's actions. Firing 26 rounds in a residential area could have easily resulted in tragic casualties.
We have new video showing 2 men wanted for murder. It shows the men robbing the HotBox marijuana store yesterday on Georgia Avenue in the Petworth neighborhood. D.C. police say one of the 2 shot and killed a man as they ran out. Philip Prendergast from Silver Spring died from his injuries. There's a $10,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest and conviction in this case.
Next up, we will be going over the paperwork of the Phuture case that happened at the HotBox Uptown last month. New details have emerged. If you are not familiar with this case yet, please go back and look at the DMV Files episode for more details on the Phuture story. Please look at the screen now and follow along with us. Please keep in mind that Phil's real name is Philip Prendergast. Superior Court of the District of Columbia, Criminal Division. Affidavit in support of an arrest warrant. Defendant name, Collins, Trenton. Nickname, unknown complainants, Prendergast, Philip. Give brief description of what happened, police report, on Wednesday, March 27, 2024. Members of the Metropolitan Police Department 4th District were flagged down in the 5100 block of Georgia Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., for the report of a shooting and armed robbery. Officers responded inside of 5117 Georgia Avenue, Northwest, and observed the victim, later identified as Philip Prendergast, lying on the floor suffering from a gunshot wound to his left side. DCFMs were called to the scene and transported the victim to a local area hospital for treatment. After all life-saving efforts were made, the decedent was pronounced dead at 8:56 p.m. by Dr. Pialilio. The decedent's remains were later transported to the office of the Chief Medical Examiner for an autopsy. The Metropolitan Police Department's Homicide Branch was notified and assumed control of the investigation. On March 28, 2024, Dr. Akrati performed an autopsy and concluded the decedent was shot once in the abdomen. The decedent sustained a fractured pelvic bone and suffered damage to his small intestines. An intact projectile was recovered from the decedent's right hip area. Dr. Akrati concluded the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the abdomen and the offense was ruled a homicide. Investigation. The crime scene was located inside 5117 Georgia Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., and is identified as the HotBox business establishment. On the crime scene, a single 223 spent cartridge casing labeled Tulamot 223 rem was recovered. Detectives were able to obtain video footage from the offense location which provided descriptions of the two suspects and the events which had taken place. Video. Homicide detectives reviewed video from inside 5117 Georgia Avenue Northwest, which captured the offense. Suspect 1 is identified as the shooter in the offense and is observed carrying an AR-style pistol. Suspect 1 is a black male, tall, thin build, wearing a gray hoodie with the hood up and a black ski mask. He is also wearing a black bubble-style jacket with a hood, a pair of purple latex gloves, gray or light-colored pants, which have rips in both pant legs near the knees, wet low-topped Air Force 1 shoes, and carrying a Nike duffel bag. Suspect 2 is described as a black male, medium tea-like complexion, tall, thin build, wearing a black hoodie, possibly a light-colored beanie under the hood, black ski mask, and a black coat, with a white circled emblem on the left shoulder area of the sleeve. He is also wearing a pair of purple latex gloves, gray pants, which appear to be sweatpants with pockets, and black and white Nike Penny Hardaway shoes with a gold-colored Nike symbol. He is armed with a black handgun. Below are photographs of the two suspects captured during the offense. The two suspects are observed walking northbound along Georgia Avenue and enter the establishment at approximately 2:54 p.m. Suspect 1 is brandishing an AR-style pistol while Suspect 2 is brandishing a black semi-automatic style handgun. Suspect 2 enters the establishment first and approaches victim 2 while Suspect 1 approaches the decedent. Suspect 1 appears to direct the decedent towards the back of the store and the decedent complies. The decedent places his hands in the air and begins walking towards the rear of the store. When Suspect 1 fires a single gunshot, a flash from the muzzle area of Suspect 1's firearm is observed. The decedent falls to the floor and Suspect 1 continues carrying out the robbery. During the robbery, Victim 2 appears to give Suspect 2 U.S. currency while being held at gunpoint. Suspect 1 gives Victim 2 a black Nike duffel bag, while Suspect 1 and Suspect 2 begin placing store items in the bag. Midway through the robbery, Suspect 1 approaches the decedent, who is on the floor, and begins searching the decedent's clothing. Suspect 1 then points the AR-style pistol at the decedent's head, and appears to be shouting at the decedent depicted by Suspect 1's head movement. Prior to the suspects departing the store, Suspect 1 places the AR-style pistol inside the duffel bag, while Suspect 2 places the black handgun in his waistline. The suspects then flee the store at approximately 2:56 p.m. on foot southbound along Georgia Avenue Northwest. Victim 2 advised approximately $2,500 U.S. currency was taken during the robbery, as well as $1,900 in marijuana products. Homicide detectives obtained additional video, which tracks path of travel of the suspects before and after the homicide. Suspect 1 and Suspect 2 are observed at 2:34 p.m. exiting an alley located between the 5000 block of 8th Street Northwest and the 5000 block of 7th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C. The suspects are wearing the same clothing as previously described from the security footage observed during the offense. As the suspects exit the alley, they are wearing the purple latex gloves and masks. The suspects are viewed through various cameras from the neighborhood and businesses traveling westbound on Gallatin Street while crossing over Illinois Avenue and 9th Street towards the 510 block of Georgia Avenue Northwest. At 2:38 p.m., Suspect 1 appears on video footage walking to the exterior of 5113 Georgia Avenue Northwest. It appears both Suspect 1 and Suspect 2 wait outside the location from 2:38 p.m. to 2:54 p.m. At 2:54 p.m., the suspect enter 5117 Georgia Avenue Northwest and initiate the robbery. Camera 06. to 27th of March 2020 for 14 hours 54 minutes and 0 seconds. To 27th of March 2020 for 14 hours 38 minutes and 48 seconds. At 2:56 p.m., the suspects are observed fleeing from the offense location traveling on foot southbound on Georgia Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Camera 06, the 27th of March 2020 for 14 hours 56 minutes and 2 seconds. At 2:56 p.m., the suspects are observed running eastbound in the 900 block of Gallatin Street, Northwest, towards 7th Place, Northwest. Evidence com on the 5th of April 2024. The suspects are observed at 2:57 p.m. traveling across 8th Street, Northwest, along Gallatin Street, Northwest, and into the alley located between the 5000 block of 8th Street, Northwest, and the 5000 block of 7th Place, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Homicide detectives recovered video from the south end of the alleyway, between the 5000 block of 8th Street, Northwest, and the 5000 block of 7th Place, Northwest, which captured from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. This video captures the mouth of the alley and is a continuous recording. At no time prior to the homicide or after the homicide were the suspects observed entering or exiting the alleyway leading to Farragut Street, Northwest. Homicide detectives conducted additional canvasses of the area. The suspects were observed leaving from prior to the homicide and fleeing to after the homicide. During this canvass, detectives distributed reward flyers to the community and spoke with members of the community in close proximity to the location. Surrounding the alley between the 5000 block of 8th Street, Northwest and the 5000 block of 7th Place, Northwest. From this canvass, to members of the community in the immediate area of the alleyway provided you're assigned with information. Hereafter will be referred to as Member 1 and Member 2. Member 1 advised IT had seen the news and was aware of the offense that had taken place at HotBox. Member 1 stated IT observed the suspects on the video broadcasted by the local news. Member 1 stated IT has observed individuals hanging out between the addresses of 5008 and 5018 7th Place, Northwest, who resemble the suspects such as height, build, race, and appear to be the same approximate age. Member 2 was interviewed and advised IT had seen the local news and had observed the video of the suspects committing the offense being investigated. Member 2 stated individuals who reside in 5014 7th Place, Northwest, Washington, D.C. resembles the suspects from the news. Member 2 further stated IT is aware of at least 2 black males, late teens to early 20s, with similar build to those observed in the security footage of the offense, who reside in that residence. Member 2 stated IT knows them to utilize the alleyway frequently to come and go from the residence. Homicide detectives contacted the residents of 5014 7th Place, Northwest, Washington, D.C. The first resident who answered the door was a medium-complexioned black male, thin-built, and approximately 6'2" in height. He was quickly accompanied by a second black male, thin-built, who was approximately 6 in height. Eurofine provided these individuals with a reward flyer and explained what was being investigated. Detectives inquire as to the last name associated with the residents, however, was met with no response. At that time, a black female walked to the door and stated the last name was Collins. One of the males standing at the door looked back at the female and stated, "Shut the fuck up." Detectives observed a delivered package at neighboring residence during the canvass, which displayed the address 5014 7th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C., and the name Ebony Collins. Detectives conducted a law enforcement database query for the address 5014 7th Place, Northwest, Washington, D.C. The name of Adam Mike with date of birth June 21, 2008, was associated with the residence. Detectives reviewed police reports and body-worn camera footage for those police reports filed by Ebony Collins, mother of Adam Mike and Adam Mike. Adam Mike provided his name and date of birth along with his home address of 5014 7th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C. During the interview, Aden appears to be wearing the same jacket which is observed being worn by suspect 2 on the security footage recovered from the scene of the homicide. Additionally, he is wearing a beanie under his hood which is also similar to suspect 2. Aden Mike on February 29, 2024 to Darren Bocher at DC, Giovita Metro Evi. Suspect 2 on March 27, 2024. Any involvement in the homicide being investigated. Defendant T. Collins advised he had touched the firearm in the past. However, the handgun was registered to a resident in the house where he resides. Detectives inquired about the latex gloves, marijuana packaging, white Air Force One shoes, and Penny Hardaway shoes. Defendant T. Collins stated he obtained the latex gloves when he was sick at the hospital within the last couple weeks and brought gloves home. He advised he did own a pair of white Air Force One shoes, however did not own a pair of Penny Hardaway shoes, black, white, and gold shoes worn by suspect 2. His last pair of Penny Hardaway shoes were taken by police when he was last arrested. When asked about the marijuana packaging, Defendant T. Collins responded by saying everyone in the house smokes. An individual, who hereafter will be referred to as Witness 1, was interviewed by homicide detectives and stated Defendant T. Collins owned a pair of black, white, and gold Penny Hardaway shoes, which were purchased after Defendant T. Collins was released from jail in January. Additionally, Witness 1 further explained Defendant T. Collins is the only individual that regularly uses the rear entrance from the alleyway to 5014 7th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C. Witness 1 was asked about the firearm recovered, to which IT advised the firearm was registered to an individual who resides in the house. However, the firearm went missing approximately a week and a half prior to the homicide. To Witness 1's knowledge, a police report was not filed. However, the owner suspected Defendant T. Collins of taking the firearm. Witness 1 further provided information about Defendant T. Collins having pneumonia in both lungs prior to the offense date. However, he refused to stay in the hospital. Defendant T. Collins had just started leaving his bedroom approximately 2 days prior to the offense. Suspect 1 constantly having to stop and walk while making his getaway on foot after a violent crime and in close proximity of the offense location would be consistent with someone recently having pneumonia in both lungs and being unable to run for a long period of time. Video shows suspect 2 having to wait on suspect 1 as suspect 1 is observed walking. Suspect 2 and even takes the duffel bag from suspect 1 to carry as they approach the alleyway leading to 5014 7th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C. Witness 1 was shown video of suspect 1 and suspect 2. At different times, Witness 1 identified each individual as Defendant T. Collins, however, concluded with stating IT believes suspect 2 being Defendant T. Collins. Note: the body style of suspect 1 closer resembles Defendant T. Collins with a tall and thin build. Detectives conducted an interview with an individual hereafter referred to as Witness 2. Witness 2 confirmed a firearm had gone missing in the residence approximately 3 to 4 weeks prior to the Metropolitan Police Department executing a search warrant at 5014 7th Place Northwest, Washington, D.C. Witness 2 advised it was believed amongst a few residents that Defendant T. Collins had taken the firearm. Witness 2 advised IT had seen the video from the HotBox, which was released by a local news network after the offense. Detectives asked, when IT observed the 2 suspects, did Witness 2 had any idea who they were? Witness 2 started becoming emotional with tears forming in IT's eyes. Detectives asked if Defendant T. Collins was one of those in the video. Witness 2 stated yeah. Detectives asked which one, and Witness 2 stated the one with the white forces, indicating suspect 1. Due to the above set of facts and circumstances, Bureau 5 respectfully requests the Washington, D.C. Superior Courts issue an arrest warrant for the arrest of defendant Trenton Collins with date of birth August 9, 2002 and PDID 716 to 543. What do y'all think about the youngins who spanked Phil the Future? Are they cooked and done for? Let us know down in the comments what you think. Also, I want to thank y'all for recently getting us to 2K subscribers. I'm going to try and drop more content frequently. Be patient. Well, I wish I could rap more with y'all, but it's time for me to handle some business mo. Thank you for watching Paperwork TV. I hope you enjoyed the stories that I had for y'all today. Make sure y'all comment what y'all want us to cover next. Be safe out here, y'all. And most importantly, stay dangerous, Mo.